podcast. I'm Allie.
I'm Sam.
This week we're doing chapter 11.
This chapter 11, is about the Puca. So Feyre sees her dad, which is very fishy in my opinion, but she sees her dad. She hops out the window, goes and runs after him, and is stopped by Tamlin. And she's like, "Oh my god, he's gonna kill me!" And he's like, "Where are you going, you crazy bitch?" And she says, "My dad's here." And he says, "Look again." And then you see the other things that she sees, which I do want to get into. But she sees a bunch of things. Come to find out, the Puca is a creature that lures you by showing you what you most want, and then it will eat you slowly. And then she has this weird little conversation with Tamlin, and then has a very interesting dream.
Yes, yeah, the dream, dude.
Very interesting dream. She's also still on her like bargain bullshit with her mom and the fact that Faye can't lie, and I'm like still like tracking this. I'm like, we're at chapter 11, and this bitch still thinks that they can't lie. But
I know. I think she finds out soon though.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's see. Yeah, I think my first thought about this chapter was mostly how kind of interesting it is that her wanting having this dream that's so not based in reality about her father coming to save her. How would he do that? His leg's fucked up. It seems like, according to his character so far, he would never, which is sad, but sad but true. But it's kind of like it's like her own fairy tale delusion that she gets to come be saved. And so I think it's kind of interesting in terms of like how earlier it was also like she was on the White Knight and Tamlin instead of Tamlin, right? It's not she's sort of like saving herself type of reinventing the fairy tale. So it's kind of almost interesting where we see like what should have been a man coming to save the woman or saving the damsel in distress, and instead it's like such a lie. Which, I don't know if that's like intent. I mean, it's implied even if it's not intentional, but it's I thought that was kind of interesting. But did you think along those lines? Or
yeah, so the two things I thought of, right, was one, you didn't do your homework this week, did you? Did you? And then I get it.
Watch it.
Sorry, and then Zencaster, you didn't even put your hand up. You looked at me like, "Fuck, what I forget?" And Zencaster put the thumbs up bubble.
That is so funny. I immediately thought like school, like actual like the.
I know, you looked terrified, and then it's all like bubble with the.
I know, it's probably because it's like this.
Oh, that's funny. No, so one, it made me think of the movie, right?
Okay, right.
Because in the movie, Maurice is kidnapped and Belle comes to save him on a horse. And so like already I was like, yeah, cool. Like it's, give me flashbacks of like a sort of reverse situation there, which we talked about before. But I thought it was very clear that was not her dad.
I kind of bought it for a second. I was like, oh, maybe he got someone to take him, or maybe they're all there. Invisible.
Yeah, I remember buying it until I get to the next page where it says he moves surprisingly swift.
Yes.
Towards the darkness. I was like, this mofo is not real. But before that, rereading this second paragraph here where it says, my father had come to take me to save me. Whatever benefits Tamlin had given him upon my departure couldn't be too tempting then, right? So she's already doubting their safety. Fine. Yeah. This next sentence, though, kind of fucked me up. So maybe he had a ship prepared to take us far, far away. Maybe he had somehow sold the cottage and gotten enough money to set us up at a new place, a new continent. So again, it's a continent thing. Like, what the fuck is over there? It's very mysterious, which...
Okay. Yeah, she doesn't say the continent. She says another one.
A new continent, yeah. Yeah, and just saying. So, like, at the end of Throne of Glass, when the fucking random ass Fae with the tiger, cat, bear, something or others that, like,
the
all
wolf
of a
Fae?
Yeah, that just fucking ex machina help at the end of the day. Yeah. I'm just saying, Prithian, just throwing it out there. But, anywho, because they're just like, it's from the other place over there. You're like, what the fuck does that mean?
But anyways, which people would it be?
I don't.
They're like wolf beings, right? Fourth continent. The other next spin-off series.
Oh God, could you? Yeah. So already I was like, got it. A mention of this other continent that we know nearly nothing about. But my question is, she went very quickly into maybe he sold the cottage, maybe he has a place for us to go, maybe he can depart, blah, 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 blah. Like, very quick, not like, what the fuck is he gonna do? How is he gonna save us? Did he bring anything? Like, if you were really as destitute as they are,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy shows, like, your dad shows up who barely can walk, and you've had no other means. It's just weird to me that she's all of a sudden like, maybe he sold the house. Why didn't he sell the house before and get y'all on a fucking boat and take you to a new continent before? If this is so quick for her to, she sees him and immediately is like, maybe he sold the house. Why the fuck didn't he? What?
I mean, I guess the only thing that's changed is that she's been kidnapped. So maybe she's like, maybe my leaving is like finally triggered him. Like, because I think she kind of always thought that something bad will have to happen, and then he will like finally do change.
Is
But
his
that's
daughter
delusional.
starving not bad enough for him to sell the
Not
house
bad
that they're
enough.
not surviving in and get them on a boat?
Yeah, I mean, it's very classic, like child. It's like a little kid.
And then the fact that she's like, oh, and then we could just go to a new continent and start over. But then three, chapters before, she was like, but I would still be poor and still have nothing to do and I don't know what to be walking into. Like, my man,
Yeah.
is the continent a place that you want to go because you think that there's a possibility for you? In which case, tell us what's there. Or is it so completely unknown to you? I just feel like it's weird that, like, the second she sees her dad, she has this idea of what he would have been able to do for her and her sisters. And it's either delusional, like there's no way he would ever get that for the house, like you're fucking crazy, or it just seems like, then why was this not a discussion before? Like, your daughters are grown. Why
Yeah.
would you have not had this conversation? Says, why are we still here? Like, why
Yeah.
don't we try somewhere else? Although I guess a known threat is better than an unknown possible threat. So, I mean, I get it, but it seemed like a very quick, like, she thinks she's being saved and everything's going to be okay, and maybe he did all this stuff, and like, maybe it's just things that she's wished her dad would do in the past, and like, now that she's
Oh yeah.
seeing him in front of her, showing that there might be a chance that he actually gives a shit, that
All her
all of
dreams have
those,
come true.
yeah, all the thoughts that she's thought about before are like coming to the surface and being like, oh, maybe he finally did this, and like all the things that I've thought he's capable of.
Yeah.
But I thought it was
Sad.
very I thought it was very strange.
I also think I have to just mention really quickly in terms of the fairy tale, she's gonna make her own fairy tale vibes. It does say, wait, my father had come to take me to save me. Whatever benefits I'm going to give him upon my departure couldn't be too tempting then. Maybe he had a ship prepared to take us far, far away. And I'm just like, oh, that's the classic fairy tale setup in a land far, far away. And
Mm-hmm.
that bitch ain't happening.
No.
So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Also my thoughts were like, actually, I think they clarify it later that it was probably her scent around, but my
Mm-hmm.
first thought was, did the buggy rat her out? Are they like all plotting, like all like, oh, now you try? But I
No,
think they say later it's because of her scent or something.
yeah, Tamlin says they probably like smelled you.
Yeah, I also thought maybe like, is there anything to maybe like, do things know when Tamlin's there or not there? Maybe they're like, he's gone, let's go.
Yeah.
But you'd think he'd be like, he'd think he would have knowledge of that and put some things in place. If
Also,
not, but maybe he's just cocky.
I think we know this in the coming chapters, but like, she's glamored against anything except for like Alice and a couple of
Mm-hmm.
people, right? So like, she's like pacing her room and everyone's watching her like, this is nuts. And then she's like, and then jumps out her window and climbs down the trellis all like incognito, and literally there's just servants everywhere watching her being like, what is she doing now?
Yeah, like somebody go get Tamlin. Come on.
Yeah, right. Someone,
It's
what's happening? Come get her, please. I just think it's very funny that they're all probably just like fucking humans.
Yeah, I think when she finds out that they've been glamored, she's like, "Wait, so when I was sneaking around with the," she like thinks it actively, and she knows
Mhm.
how embarrassing it is. It's so funny.
It reminds me of like Emperor's New Groove.
I haven't seen that in
Where
years
she's just like
either.
on the wall, like,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny. But yeah, I don't have a note again till 98. Do you have
okay.
anything on the next pages?
Nope, I want to know how she thinks he got a horse. So what I will say is, I was reading random shit on the internet, and there
Mm,
was, I can't remember what it was. I would give it credit, but it's just random fucking articles on shit.
yeah.
And it was an article saying that this is perhaps the saddest scene in the entire series. And I disagree, but it was an interesting thought that they were
Yeah.
like, the things that she wants most that are thrown in her face that she cannot have are
Mhm.
her father or someone to save her, really,
Yeah.
right? Something to protect herself with, so the arrows.
Yeah, oh yeah.
A large pack full of supplies, so a way to take care of herself, I guess, and escape. And then her sister's crying.
Oh, and don't forget the other thing she has, a cloak, a warm cloak.
What?
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't say warm cloak. It just says a cloak. But I'm always like
But
cloak
that's
mentioned.
sure, that's what she has, but not what the puka turns into.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the things that she takes with her, like
Yeah,
in this moment. Okay, okay, okay.
yeah, no, no, no.
Yeah,
That's funny. Kaltane, right? That's her name? Kaltane?
Paltane. Yeah.
Kaltane. But yeah, no, so like the things that she right, because the puka says it's what she wants most.
Oh, right, right,
Or
right.
right, that trying to see where he actually says what the fuck it does. It says, that thing in the gates wasn't one of them. It would still have taken a good long time devouring you, blah, blah, blah. A puka, they use your own desires to lure you to some remote place, then they eat you slowly. So, it is her desire. Like, those are her desires. I just want to double
Mm.
check that that's what that was. And not just like, I don't know, a series of fucking whatever. But I don't know. So now we've run into a bog who shows you your biggest fears, apparently, which is nothing, right? Other than being told it's going to eat her. And now she has something that shows her her desires, and her desires are her shitty fucking family. But yeah, and just something to protect herself with, and a means to leave. And so again,
Mhm.
very bottom of the
There's no
pyramid
high
there.
lady in those desires at all. Not even
No,
really a man. Like, not even a
no.
paintbrush, actually.
No,
Yeah.
that's
It
weird that we don't see a paintbrush.
Yeah, because that is part of, like,
Mm,
her known dreams, but,
mhm.
yeah, well, maybe it's like, actually coming back to the Maslow's hierarchy thing, like,
Yeah,
I think she's just trying desperately to stay in that bottom tier because she doesn't like she has this denial of, like, "I don't like this, I can't like this," or, like I mean, yeah, I just
I have a thought about that exact thing on the next page.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I always just thought like, I don't know if it's just SJM just wants her to be afraid or I think it's more of a case of, like, she just feels like she shouldn't relax even though she's very tempted to, but she thinks she's, like,
Yeah.
doing the wrong thing, but, yeah, I didn't have much else here except for oh, I did think it was interesting where is that? Weren't you warned to keep your wits about you, that your human senses would betray you? Is that just, like I think Alice says that to her, but,
Alice
like,
says it to her a
did
couple
he
times.
tell Alice to tell her? Like, why is isn't that kind of it sounds like a, "Hey, when you signed up for this, you were warned about A, B, and C, and you like,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know,
it's
it
weird.
kinda seemed interesting, or it reminded me of the moment where he says, like, "Didn't your mother tell us about?" Like, that's what
Mhm.
it seemed like to me as well, but I don't really know if there's anything to it.
Or there's some closer relationship between him and Alice. Either he's instructed her, like, hey, take care of her, do the things, and tell her not to be
Specific
stupid.
things.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Or because right, they at least talk because he knows about the thing that's rigged that Alice falls into, right? The trap that she rigs the first night
Oh, yeah,
using
yeah,
the
yeah.
curtains. And so he's like, really? Did like was that meant for me? So like Alice told him about it. And so there's presumably some sort of conversation where she was probably like, I told her to keep her wits about her. Like I told her that her fucking human senses were gonna, fool her. And
Yeah.
so maybe he's just like, it's kind of passing the buck again, always. Like,
Yeah.
you were warned of this, like, by the person who I told to fucking take care of you. Because
Mhm.
I don't know, Tamlin's such a lazy fucking piece of shit. But anyways,
Yeah. I will also say at this stage, like I know we're not supposed to like really like him yet. Maybe she's sort of showing first hints, but like a guy who just like reacts like this, if we're just like, if this is my boyfriend who's like, what are you doing? Like, I don't
yeah.
know. It just seemed like be
I
nice.
just
She
saw
thinks her
my
daddy came to
dad.
save
Yeah,
her
I
and
just saw
like
my dad who hasn't moved from the fireplace
who
in
let us starve for 5
7
years.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
who told me just go. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wild. Well, and like she has every right to like lash out like she does here, right? Where she's like, "Can you blame me? My cripple father appears beneath my window, and you think I'm not going to run for him? Did you actually think I would gladly stay here forever, even if you'd taken care of my family? For all for some treaty that had nothing to do with me and allows your kind to slaughter humans as you see fit." Like, yeah, that's she's being completely rational right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, what do you mean my
Yeah.
human senses are going to betray me? The motherfucker's standing right there. You think I'm not going to go to him?
Yeah, on the off chance, like, why would I just yeah. Like,
Like,
yeah,
even
it's
if I knew that there was a chance that it wasn't him, you think I'm still not going to go to him? I might be more
yeah.
skeptical. I might not be running the same way, but you think I'm not going to go up there and try to be like,
Go
is
see
this
what it
you?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I do think it adds, like, a nice moment of tension where it's like, this is the scene in the rom-com, like, where he's like, "What do you want?" And, like, there's a moment of realness between them, but he's still kind of a bitch about it.
Sorry, is
Um,
this is the from the Notebook? When he's
oh, I feel
talking about
like it's just a trope kind of, but yes, it is in The Notebook. "What do you want, Allie?" It's funny, her name's Allie.
I love there's a meme of it's that scene, but it just says like anytime I ask my wife what she wants for dinner, and she's like sobbing, she's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
dude,
that's very I snorted. I'm like, yeah, that's very real.
that's me. Yeah,
That's funny. I do like that he asks this, right? Like it's kind of a dick move, but I also think that he's asking a valid question. When he asks her, "What do you want?" She says, "I want to go home." And he says, "Home to what exactly? You would prefer the miserable human existence to this." I think that like yeah, it's a dick way of asking it, but he has a point. Like what are
yeah,
you going home to, Feyre? Like what I saw is that your dad is not doing anything. Your sisters are not doing anything. Like nowhere in that home did it feel like there was any love ever, not even before your mom died.
mhm,
What are you going home to?
yeah,
And like Granny doesn't have to say like the miserable human existence. Like then that would mean that he's like any human existence is miserable, even if she was living
yeah,
in the lap of luxury. But she's not. I think that he could have just been like home to what exactly? Like like would you prefer that over this? Like he doesn't even have to be a dick about it. Of course he is, but
yeah. I know. Part of me wonders: is he being a dick because he doesn't want to seem like he's trying to be into her, so that she's has her defenses down? Like I don't know. Like what part of this is an act and actually just him? I kind of think it's just him, but
yeah.
yeah. Also, okay, is she the first person that she ever tells about the promise?
Hmm.
Oh,
I
that's
think
interesting.
the does she tell Reese?
Well, she no, she definitely tells people after. I think she tells Reese, but I don't actually know.
I don't
But
remember
she had
her.
definitely said that she had never told her sisters or her dad.
Yeah,
And so who else would she maybe Isaac? I don't think she would tell Isaac. I don't think they're
no,
like that, like but I'm like there's no one else. He is the first person to know about this thing that this code she's been living by for 12 years,
yeah.
which is interesting cuz he's like I don't know. I mean, it's also a huge vulnerability, and then he just stalks towards the house and gives her a wide berth, like, or she gives him a wide berth. But it's like
Yeah, I
okay,
think that this is not necessarily confiding in him. I think that she's had it. Like she doesn't know what else. Like she's grasping at straws, right?
yeah.
And like for
But
him
she
to be
still
like,
is the first time she's saying it.
sure, but I
Yeah,
don't think it's a matter of like I trust you, so I'm going to tell you about this
yeah,
secret. I think that this is the last. Like this is desperation that she doesn't know how else to like take care of her family other than to just be straightforward to be like, look, I made this fucking promise and you're making it impossible for me to keep. Like now, I don't know, like I can't, there's no other way I can go around it. I've tried to do the Lucian thing, I've tried to talk to you, I've tried to this, that, blah, blah. And like now I just have to tell you, like, this is what's bothering me and I need to fix it.
hmm yeah. It was
And
interesting.
then of course he's like, they're better off without you.
Yeah,
And then,
but-
I underline insignificant again.
yeah, absolutely. Um, her absence makes things better. And yeah, that she says it directly later in that paragraph. Um, in this part. where she goes, like, when she has the realization, fed and comfortable. If he couldn't lie, if it was true, like, then my vow to my mother was fulfilled. I just was like, at this point, I was like, "Is this I can't I didn't like it as an epiphany." I was like, is it just too
Well,
forward? I don't know.
is she feeling the lifting of a bargain?
Yeah, that now that's but also is a bargain it would have already been fulfilled, right? She wouldn't
Yeah.
feel the lifting.
But do you have to realize that you fulfilled the bargain for a bargain to be done?
I
Or
don't think
I
so,
don't think
because
so.
I think if you were to, like, break a bargain by not doing something, right? I think it would just you'd fucking die, and so you would just not realize. It's not like when you realize it, you die, it's like when you break it.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a point earlier maybe. I'm trying to think. I wonder if, like, if they were really cared for. I'm trying to think of when the timeline. Maybe she had a strange feeling of relief that we just don't know about it, but, like, I wonder if now I wanna go I wanna go
Well,
back somewhere we've already spent hours talking,
right.
but I do wonder if maybe she did have a feeling of relief. That's interesting.
Yeah, my life is now owned by the treaty, but perhaps I've been freed in another sort of way.
Oh, at the bottom here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
Um,
I don't know if that means that, like, she's feeling a bargain lift or if it's realization or, it's just the matter of fact of, like, she's kept this promise and now she doesn't have to worry about it because someone else is taking care of them because whatever. But then she describes herself as having a hollow feeling. So it's at the after the break on page 100. 100? 100. So I truly was to live there forever, as much as I longed to ensure that Tamlin's words about caring for my family were true, as much as he claimed that I was taking better care of my family by staying away, even if I was truly fulfilling that vow to my mother by staying in Prithian. Without the weight of that promise, I was left hollow and empty.
hmm, that's interesting. I also wonder, that sounds like more like an actual bargain tie. Maybe that was her last tie to her mother. Um, I don't know.
Or, or she now has to move up the pyramid.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
No,
Like,
that
the
is for sure
thing
what's
that's
happening here.
holding her in that spot of basic necessity only is no longer there, and she doesn't have the next rung, right? She doesn't
Yeah.
have support, she doesn't have self-actualization, she doesn't have
Mhm.
self-worth, she doesn't have any of those things that come with walking up, the pyramid of what is his name?
Tamlin?
No, 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 the pyramid that we talk about.
Maslow.
Thank you, thank you. Right, she doesn't have any of the next steps for Maslow, like, she has to build those. So, yeah, like, she's done with that first rung, right? It's not just about survival
Mm.
or keeping this basic survival promise anymore. So now she's forced to move up to the next step, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's personal the second tier is personal security, employment, resources, health, and property. So she has health and
I
personal
mean, yeah,
security, but that's
yes,
it.
but not really, because now she says, right, "So, my life is owned by the treaty." So,
Oh,
like,
true.
yes, but also it's not her own. So, like,
Yeah.
I'm safe, but
Yeah.
not really, but not of my own volition.
And you were probably just talking about all the tiers that are above
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
anyway, but, yeah, it's interesting.
I'm gonna come up with a graphic that just has the, like, Maslow chart, but with, like, the different, like, ACOTAR, ACOWAR, ACO whatever,
Oh,
all
yes. Actually, you should. You should
Mhm.
do, like, fucking page numbers, like, okay, so the first one ends page 98, that's where she jumps to the next one.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
It's gonna
so
happen.
put it in the notes because 'cause I'm a fucking nerd. Um, it's funny, yeah, I just wrote, "The realization gives me the ick." I think it's just something that just feels like I don't know. I wish I didn't think it. I didn't hear it in her thoughts. I wish it was described like she like a third person. Well, I
Mhm.
guess it's a first person, so I don't know. There's something about it just gave me the ick, but I'm just a weird. Um, oh, also we have to talk about the freedom mention. My, Tamlin sorry, my my Tamlin imagery. My prison imagery, which is basically synonymous with Tamlin section on my document, is one of my longest sections by far, and I will start to bring them up as we see them. This is one of the first ones that, you know, she feels freedom associated with him, even though it's still within the confines of the treaty, so it's not true freedom, which is maybe the first hint at, like, free but not free, like, it's sort
Are
of.
you talking about that? Perhaps I'm freed in a different sort of way.
Yeah, like,
Mhm.
she's still saying, "Okay, I'm owned by the treaty, but, like, I am kind of free." And so
Mhm.
it's always, like, a partial freedom with Tamlin, it's always a corrupted freedom, and the imagery with his shit is so good. I mean, like, good in the sense that it's so uniform. Every fucking mention of physical touch with him is, like, it's like okay, like, one of some of the that I can just think from memory, like, she'll talk about how his touch was like a brand on her skin. I'm like, first of all, ew, and that's not a good feeling. I guess you're trying to be like, it's electric, but, like, you don't. If I'm saying my husband's touch feels like a brand on my skin, ew,
You're like,
come on,
I'm sorry. The fuck are you? Yeah, no, that's ownership.
you're not a cow.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's so many things like that, and I have such a long list, so we'll start to get into those. Anyway, we don't have to talk about that, but I'm just like freedom, any dimension of freedom or confinement with Tamlin, it's nonstop.
Right.
Oh, this is one of the first mentions, by the way. My very first mention was "My Prison or My Salvation" on,
Mhm.
page 46. We talked about that, and then the one we just talked about is number no, she also says something on page 86 about feeling imprisoned in the Spring Court forever, and then
Mhm.
this one, and then, yeah, in a couple pages, we get the next mention, but the actual, like, quotes, like, on page 104, it says something about an actual cage, and I'm like,
Ooh.
it's, like, so it beats you over the head with it, it's awesome.
No-
I should make, like, a graphic of, like, all the mentions because
yeah.
it's so much. Anyway, um
Why does he need Lucian? She says, right? So when she asks him, right, were you trained as a warrior then? He says, yes. When I didn't reply, he added, I spent most of my life in my father's war band on the borders. Hybern, nice. Training as a warrior to one day serve him or others. Running these lands was not supposed to fall to me. The flatness with which he said it told me enough about how he felt about his current title about why the presence of his silver-tongued friend was necessary. It's because Tamlin doesn't know how to be fucking diplomatic because he doesn't want to be the High Lord, and so he needs Lucian to talk for him. Like what? How?
Confusing.
That's so weird.
Yeah. It is very interesting that in terms of she asked about him, he had talked about Lucian before, so maybe he's just referring back to that, but it
Yeah,
does seem kind of
yeah,
weirdly
because
conjoined.
yeah, because says Lucian goes on border patrol, and you've mentioned other sentries. Why haven't I seen them? Like, where are they? He's like at the border.
Yeah. But they're not talking about Lucian anymore. He brings it back
Also,
up as like
what
part of his reign.
border? He doesn't say at the wall. He says at the
Yeah,
border. They're on border patrol. They're not at wall patrol.
that's true. You thought it's Hybern's borders?
Yes.
I think that's real. Well, Hybern doesn't have borders because he's an island. I mean, is he just? I mean, he sit on the
But
coast
I
and
mean,
was like,
but I mean,
"Nobody come here."
look, right? Like Springcourt's here, Hybern's
Oh,
here.
you just
Like,
mean the coast of Springcourt. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, or I guess like the
I mean,
border
or
to
it
other
could be this,
courts.
yeah, other courts, right? There's a number of
Hmm.
places that he could be. Like, it's kind of a square court. There's four borders there.
Well,
I think
and
the
his dad was
assumption,
pro Hybern, right? So
yeah,
like,
and so like I think the assumption is that he's on the wall, right? The border between the Mortal Lands and Prithian, but that's he never says that.
yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's fishy, right? That she's just like, oh, the border, like motherfucker. There's more borders, Feyre. Like, get a map. I know she doesn't have a map
Mhm.
yet, but like she has to know that it's not just one land. Like she knows there's court
Not
because she
yet. She
talks
knows
about
that
it.
there are some courts. Yeah, she talks about like high lords in general.
Yeah, so she knows. Like, how are you
Hmm.
gonna tell me that there's not other like what border exactly? Are you looking at at the human border? Are you looking at where my family is? Like, are you watching for them? Like, are you sending people over to fuck with the humans? Like, what's happening? Like, why are you not asking more questions about what border?
Yeah, actually.
Because she can't read.
Yeah. I would be. This is why I can never write a character when I'm writing like that is like myself, because I would not be. I'd be like every second of the day, be like, tell me about this court and tell me about this court and tell me, like, I don't care if I can't read. Tell me about every single one. And no,
Yes.
it's not fun to read a character who's just like, let me just talk to you
Yeah.
for
Wait,
6
what do you mean?
hours.
I'm sorry. I'm in a magical land and you can't get rid of me, motherfucker. It's on. Like,
Let's
right.
go. I
Hello?
want history
How
courses.
motherfucker, I spent $200,000 on the history of this world. You think I'm not gonna bug the shit out of Tamlin for the history of his for free?
Hell yeah,
I'm like,
dude.
PowerPoint. Let's do this. I want to know when it started. I want to know all the things. I want to know who came through walls. I want you to take me back to Thea. Like, let's make this happen. Get on your shit, Tamlin. Give me some books.
Dude, yes. Yeah.
Lucian ain't
I
doing
would, yeah.
shit. Make Lucian read to me. Make fucking Alice read to me, Mr. High Lord. I got everybody under my thumb. Make it happen.
Yeah. And I know she's not thinking about that, right? Because especially with our Maslow discussion, but still, I would not be Feyre. I would be like, all right, I'm down with leaving that. I'd probably be delusional and not living in that
We're
bed
also,
interior.
I mean, we're also not a 19-year-old who can't read and is
Ooh,
starving, right? Because, like, let's be real. If someone told me, you need to come and live in my pretty house and I'm going to feed you pretty delicious food forever, and all you have to do is sit in the corner and paint and maybe hang out with my really hot redhead dude, I love you, fam, but I might dip. So I'd be like, that's fine. You're going to feed me? It's great. Let's go.
hell yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't take a 30-year-old white woman into Prithian and expect us to fight back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. The case for the 19-year, why we need it to be 19.
Yeah.
Everyone always complains, and I'm like, no, this is why. So you can have a
Yeah.
dumbass. Um,
Yeah. Because any older woman would be like, all right,
no more
fucking
working.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Done.
Yeah. That's so funny. Um,
So much for the
yeah.
patriarchy. I'm like, down with the patriarchy, but you can take me into a Fey land and just make me stay there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if women, if I just get a good end of the deal, is it really patriarchy?
Yeah, right?
Nope. It's
It's on
just
your
the way the
tab,
world should
Brenda.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. You should.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
oh, it's funny. I did notice the hollow thing. It was just further down. I wrote it in my little notes. Okay. I also, the next section says that he hunts day and night for like 3 days. And I'm just like, why does he have to try so hard? Is this thing that scary? Is he doing something else? Like, what? It doesn't seem weird.
And he just like, so he goes all day long and then he comes to dinner and he sits for 5 minutes and then he goes back out.
They have to sleep, right? Maybe he just is like sometimes, or maybe he does like coke or
Or,
something.
or maybe he's winnowing to Highburn.
Having a
Hanging
nap at Highburn.
Yeah, having a nap, taking a nice big bath in the cauldron. Who fucking
Yeah.
knows?
So he'd be way more fucked up if he took a bath in the cauldron.
I don't know, maybe that's why he's fucking right. He's just like brewing
That's
the
true.
stew. They're just like hanging out together,
Yeah,
brewing ale in the fucking cauldron.
maybe he's actually looking for the legs of the cauldron right now with Highburn.
Hmm.
I don't really think so.
I
Or the
don't think
feet,
so
not the
either,
legs.
especially because like the
He
that's
would
how
know more.
well, and that's how Gwen gets assaulted, right? Because
In one of the places, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, he is interesting. I mean, but he could easily be doing something sketchy, and
sure,
because he should be sleeping. He's not like a god. He needs to sleep sometimes.
yeah,
Actually, when you use up your magic, you have to sleep. But yeah, no, Reese talks about how he has this like use. Am I mixing up Throne of Glass?
no,
Doesn't Reese say he used up all his magic and he had to sleep a long time in
yeah,
Aquawar somewhere?
hmm,
So Tamlin's using his magic constantly to do all this shit. So like, and it's dampened because of Amarantha.
hmm.
So yeah, what is he do? Yeah, it's weird. But I just thought it was weird that it took him 3 days to find the fucking boggy, and I was like, is it that hard?
Well, and
Like
also,
Feyre just didn't look at it, and she was fine. Like,
right? We were just walking, hanging out with Lucian, and it just came out. What were you fucking doing? Yeah. I don't. I feel like Tamlin wants to be away. I feel like the
yes,
or
I
I
get
feel
that
like I
feeling
feel
too.
like the bog is just an excuse to be out, and like maybe he's hunting it in the meantime. But I don't think it's rigorous hunting. I think he's just like, I don't want to fucking be there, which is
Yeah,
weird. Like it's just so hard to think about what Tamlin, like, I guess this works out for him. right. I mean,
Yeah.
the curse is broken, so short term, this book ends happily for Tamlin.
Yeah.
It's such a weird way to get there. Like, you sent a sentry over the wall to get killed, hopefully, by someone who is relatively attractive enough for you to try to make fall in love with you and not be grossed out by it. And you found that. Best case
Mhm.
scenario, she's a cute 19-year-old girl. And now you're mad about it. And you're avoiding her and you're being a dick and you're throwing Lucian at her. But she's supposed to fall in love with you, my man. So I just find it to be such a weird, like, how long have you been out of the game, Tamlin? This is not. I mean, it is
Yeah.
how you court, apparently, because she does fall for him, which is weird. But it's just,
It's because of who
yeah,
she is. Yeah.
yeah, true. But yeah, it's very strange to me that, like, this is his game.
Yeah, it is weird.
You know what it is? It's he's breaking her down so he can build her back up. He's treating her like shit so that the little bit that he gives her is significant. What's he do? He takes her to a lake and he kisses her
Yeah.
forehead and he gives her
Yeah.
food. Like, yeah, that's a big deal when you walk around with claws coming out of your fucking hands, making everyone in the house, including Lucian, walk on eggshells and be
And
like,
then
he's
Miss
in the
Carey is
mood.
being nice to you.
Yeah, and so yeah,
You feel like a
it's
chosen.
so typical. Like, now that I'm realizing it, it's so very typical abusive relationship, right?
Mm. That's funny. I was thinking like maybe he's just trying to play hard to get, like trying to seem disinterested. Maybe that's
I think he's
psychotic
trying to
too.
break her down so he can love bomb her.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
Um,
And he
yeah, that
needs
makes
her to
sense.
hate him, right? Like, that's part of the curse. So he's like, I'm gonna make her hate me and be a dick to her, but in
Still,
these real little subtle ways. Yeah, that was part of it, right? Like, she
that
has
she has
to.
to continue to hate them, or she had to hate them when she killed the thing.
Oh, I don't know. I think she it
We need a Fey lawyer.
I know that there's hatred that has to be part of it. So I don't know if she
Yes.
has to hate Tamlin specifically, but she has to hate Faye enough to kill them unprompted, which she does.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that part of that is also that she just has to, like, he has to get someone who hates Faye to love him. So
Yeah.
I think that part of his act is to be like, cool, I'm going to break her down so she keeps hating me. So just in case, we got that covered. But also, it'll be so much easier for me to woo her if I've also been a dick and then I flip the script on her. And then I don't really have
Mm-hmm.
to do a whole lot other than serve her some food, take her to a fancy lake, tell her she's pretty, play a fiddle for her, and stay up late. And bite her. Like, that's really all he does. Those are the things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's like, hell yeah, let me jump on it. I love it. I'm gonna sacrifice myself for you. Okay.
Yeah. And she just says, like, I just fell in love with the first thing that was nice to me. So I think he
Well,
understands that
and
too.
and this is such a typical relationship for a 19-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's in a vulnerable state. There's an older man who takes advantage of it. This is like, it's not a fairy tale. This is just how people
It's a nightmare.
yeah, this is my first relationship. Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, you find this girl who's in a situation where her family doesn't come from much. You find a girl on the street and you throw some cash her way and you show her a nice time, and then you kind of go back and forth between kind of being a dick and love bombing her, and then boom, she'll do whatever you ask her to, like find a fucking worm and
Yeah.
and
It's so gross.
die for you.
Yeah. That's she's it's so crazy that it's actually so crazy that she did that in
But it
thinking about it.
happens, right? I mean, look at
Yeah.
how many, like, women don't come forward against abusers
Mm-hmm.
because they don't see it that way. You're like, oh, well, he took care of me. No, he plucked you out of a shit situation, told you you were a piece of shit, but then also said, I love you and I'm the only one who will ever love you. And then you would do anything for him. Like, that's Tamlin,
Yeah. It really
which is
is.
icky and sucks, but it is.
That's Tamlin's vibes.
Yeah,
To be fair, I think in the if we were to sort of give him the most generous reading, maybe he's pretending to hunt the bogge and he's actually like going and sneaking around doing things to see about Amarantha. But I just don't. There's not really evidence for that, and
yeah,
he did nothing for 50 years, so why would he be doing a bunch of shit now? Like,
yeah.
so, but it's technically
I think
possible.
he's fucking sulking. I think he's going into the forest and he's turning into a fucking cat wolf and he's just literally fucking licking himself and being sad about it. Like, I don't think he's doing anything useful at all. I think he's self-loathing, and he's being like, "Oh, woe is me. I have to have this thing, and I'm trying to like I it's all just super selfish is what I see him doing."
Yeah. That's funny. The
And the
Tamlin
fact that
defenders are
and
gonna come for us.
I don't give a shit. Come.
There should be a Tamlin defenders, to be fair.
Sure, yeah. I also this point where Lucian is like Tamlin gets into moods.
Yes.
I wrote like Lucian walks on eggshells. Like it's just more definite. Like it's just more proof that's like what is the loyalty that's actually there? Because it seems like even Lucian is a prisoner in this situation, and that
Mhm.
he too has this like
He, like, feels like he owes him, kind of.
that, or there's something there, right? That Tamlin treats him like shit when he gets into his moods, right? And then probably also love bombs him in his own fucking heteronormative sort of way, right? That's like you're my
Yeah.
guy, you're my best friend. I thank you for so much for leaving, blah blah blah. I take you in always, yeah, and like throw that shit in his face. And it just seems very manipulative friendship as well.
Yeah. No. I mean, and I think that's how these kinds of people tend to be
Mhm.
with everyone. I also thought with that, kind of like they say, like, let's see. Yeah, he prefers being alone, is what he says. Um, uh, there's no one who can help him. He would probably shred them for disobeying his order to stay away. And then also another mention of ice, which I guess is just meant to be fear, but it's still, I don't know. I'm still paying attention to snow and ice and those kinds of imagery,
Mhm.
especially since that's kind of like another huge antagonist in her life was like winter, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. Anyway, um, and then she says he would be that brutal. Lucian studied the wine in his goblet. You don't hold on to power by being everyone's friend. And among the fairies, lesser and high fae alike, a firm hand is needed. We're too powerful and too bored with immortality to be checked by anything else. Um,
I
and
wrote
then
next
she's like feeling bad for. She's like, "It's a cold and lonely position to have, especially when you didn't particularly want it. I wasn't sure why it bothered me so much." I was like,
You know
"Girl,
why it bothers her so much? Because I wrote next to this, that's especially true for Reese. You don't hold power by being everybody's friends. Among fairies and lesser and
uh,
high alike, a firm hand is needed. We're too powerful and too bored with immortality to be checked by anything else. This is exactly the
it's
cross
true."
that Reese bears,
Yeah.
not the cross that Tamlin bears. This is the cross that Reese bears. That
Well, it's
he
like
can't be himself, he can't be kind, he has to be the High Lord of the Court of Nightmares.
Yeah. Well, and it's like Tamlin actually does kind of hold the brutality, but like Reese just pretends to, or he
Yeah,
does do some in this, especially right now. He is doing actual things that he
sure.
hates, but I think he
But
like
he
chooses
holds
the mask the rest of the time because
mhm,
he knows that. But I do think it's interesting. Like it's like Tamlin really believes it and buys into the propaganda, and Reese is
yeah,
like, I just got to do this thing. That is, I did not think of Reese there, but that
but
is
I'm
true.
wondering if that's why it bothers her so much. It's not that it bothers her that it's Tamlin. It bothers
She
her
can
because
already
of
feel
that
the mate.
she yes,
Yeah. That is so interesting. I
because
like that reading.
I was like, this description is Reese. Like, sure, Tamlin, fine. Like, he holds power. He can't be friends with everybody. Like, he needs to. But in reality, he does things that are unnecessary, right? The tithe is unnecessary. No other court does that, right? And why can't
Yeah.
he be a kind high lord? He's not like even to his own close. Why does he have to be a dick to Lucian, right? Why does he have to be a dick to Feyre? Why does he have to be a dick to his inner circle? Reese is not a dick to his inner circle. Reese is not a dick to an entire fucking city of people, right?
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
only wears that mask under the mountain, right? And in the court, in the actual under
Yeah.
mountain,
Like when he's with other courts and stuff.
yeah, and like, but then that also starts to peel away a little bit,
Yeah.
and other high lords see that that's not who he is. But even still, like, I don't know. It feels like yeah, it feels like something that Tamlin buys into, where he's just like, this is how I have to be, even though he's not really has to be like that. And Reese
Yeah.
is like, I actually have to do this to protect an entire group of people, and you're literally playing with your dick for 50 years. Like, what are you
Mhm.
doing? So I don't know.
Yeah. That is so interesting. I like that as a secondary reading. I think we are it is meant to be like she's starting to feel bad for him. She's sympathizing with him but I like the Reese reading much more. Um because I'm just like again, probably my first reaction was like, you're pitying this guy who's like, I don't know.
Dick.
Yeah.
There's a person who doesn't want power and has been given a position of authority. Granted, it's a lot of weight to bear. And if you don't want to be a leader, fine. But usually the best leaders are the ones who don't want the role. And
So
if you
maybe Tamlin secretly wants it.
well, and or that, or just like, cool. So then you've been turn it into something good. Turn it into
Yeah.
something that's worth leading.
I know, it kinda makes you think, like, what did you want to do? Like, I don't think Reese
He
maybe Reese
wanted to just
knew.
be a warrior. He wanted to just fight and kill for his dad or for
But,
his
like, that's not a
woman.
real dream. That's like saying
Yeah.
you I don't know. Yeah, that is interesting.
Maybe he doesn't know what he wants because he was never given a choice, right? It was either you were
Yeah.
going to work, serve your dad or brother, and then they're like, well, actually, now you're the High Lord. And so we all serve you. But he's just like, I don't know how to do that. I
Yeah.
don't know. Tamlin's very surface.
Yeah, even though somehow we still have a lot to say about him. Um, yeah, but I just thought it was interesting she said brutal too. It was like,
Yeah.
there's something yeah. Um,
I love that we finally see Reese.
I know.
Reese
Reese
is
mention.
here
And
in
it's really the most clear one. That's like when you read it, you're like, "What the fuck?" And
I
then it's probably the first thing you think about,
also
yeah.
saw a tweet or something, where someone had underlined this and, like, uh, SJM, and her response was, "Finally, someone saw, put, like, yes, it's
Oh,
Reese."
that's so funny.
So, like, she's confirmed, allegedly, that this is what that is. She was like, "Finally,
Oh,
somebody found it."
absolutely.
Yeah, there's no question. Um,
When I first read it, I just thought, "Oh, she's sensing a scary presence." Like, maybe
sure,
this
because
is
we're not
somebody
we don't know who
watching her in her
yeah.
dreams or yeah.
The thing is, I went back to the first chapter because what I was reading, right, was so behind me a shadow lurked, no, watched, cool, Reese is watching. I didn't dare turn around to see who might be in the shadows, observing not as the wolf stared across at me in the clearing, just staring as if waiting, as if daring me to fire the ash arrow. No, no, I didn't want to do it. Not this time, not again, not. But I had no control over my fingers, absolutely none, and he was still staring as I fired. So, this is not what actually happened, but
Mhm.
in her dreams, not only is Reese standing behind her watching, she has no control over her fingers. Reese fires the arrow in her dream. So then I went back to chapter 1 and was like, well, hold up. Does she talk about not having control over her fingers? And a little bit. She says the second that it like looks at her, she just like on instinct shoots the next arrow into his eye. So like
Yeah.
kind of doesn't have control, but like so then did she actually kill him, or was she not in control and Reese did it?
That's
Or
it, yeah.
or is she having a nightmare?
I mean,
And
yeah.
because he's like, now she's over, because he mentions, right, "Then I saw your nightmares. I like you were it was clear now." Um, and I think this is the one that wakes him up,
Yeah.
that he talks about, then you were having a nightmare and it came in super clear, and I realized it was because you were over the wall."
Mhm, yeah. This is definitely one of those moments, if not the first moment, but
Mhm.
she does have a dream earlier. She has she already had an Amarantha dream, right?
Yes.
So that would be like the first well, that's her in his dream, I guess, or his reality. Maybe it's his nightmare.
Mhm. It's like white, it's like there's red, right? Woman,
No,
red
it says
hair.
like a red-haired woman, like, is, like, running her fingers through her hair or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, the Reese mention is so is interesting, and it is kinda interesting he's just watching her, because in some sense, he does want her to fire it because otherwise she doesn't get across the wall. But
Well,
also,
and he also needs her to break the curse, right? Like, he would be willing to sacrifice his heart if it saved all of Prithian, we know that.
yeah, but would he want her to? Probably not, but maybe his subconscious, like, knows this shit's gotta happen.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't know that it's his mate yet.
I think he do I think he's starting to guess. I think he says in chapter whatever the fuck, I think he
Before.
starts to guess at like in this he says something like, "I guessed at what you were then, but I knew it when or I was more sure when I saw you," or something like that. and then I was sure when you died or when she snapped your neck.
Yeah.
Um, um, but yeah, and I just noticed this is like there's a lot of watching happening,
Yeah.
and symbolically, some things are happening. I do think it's interesting that the wolf stares at her. But I don't really know. I don't really have anything like for it.
Do you think that the high fae that she sees is Reese?
That's the thing. I don't know. It was. I feel like if she might have said something later, like she looked kind of familiar. If
Yeah.
it was, and I don't think it was,
Yeah.
but like maybe she's seeing. She has kind of like we were talking about like her senses. Maybe she like can picture the real Anne. Wouldn't it be interesting if like some like let's say this can't happen, but like let's say someone who knew Andres like jumped into her brain and saw that memory, that nightmare, and they're like, wait, you actually saw what he really looks like. It'd almost be like her subconscious could like
Yeah.
had some powers to see through some shit. Like, well,
Or
it would
just
support
made
my
up, or
theory.
just made up an image.
Well, like, if it was a random person, right?
Hmm.
Which is what we presume it is. But part of me is like, what if she's really seeing what he actually looks like because she maybe in her subconscious or some kind of other brain could like actually see through the glamour because she's someone.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it's a reach. Um, yeah, my last note was just the shame on 102. It's the curse thing because she's not maintaining the heart. She feels bad. She's regretting it. So, but then maybe she had it in her heart initially, or maybe if you had true hate, you're not going to then feel bad later. Well, I don't know if that's true. This is
This,
getting, that gets very philosophical, but
this
I
is,
just thought it was interesting.
I think this is her climbing up the pyramid.
Definitely. Yeah. She's having that empathy.
Yeah, she says, perhaps it was only that I no longer had to think hour to hour about how to keep my family alive, but
Oh, yeah.
it was regret. It was my shame. It's because she's not in that bottom rung anymore, right? Because the next one is, what is it again? The next one up? Safety.
Safety needs. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well,
She got that post bottom rung clarity. I knew that was stupid when I said
that's funny.
it's kind of. She's like, ew, I did what? I did what? Just did what?
I
That's
totally
my
fucking,
browser history.
like, I skinned a dude.
Ooh, that's funny. Yeah, that's what that
Well,
was.
she's like, well, I was starving. Did I did I skin a guy? Yeah. But we were starving and I did just leave his body. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could have taken him and I could have eaten him, but I just skinned him.
Just kidding. Oh, okay, I'm really glad they didn't eat him. That
Could
have
you
some weird
imagine?
implications. Like, can you imagine Tamlin coming to see her and he's like, what's your breath smell like? Make sure your breath smells like my friend and not in like a dick sucking way, in like a you ate this bitch way.
And not in a dick sucking
It's-
way. Oh man. Yep. He's like, this new smells great. What is it? What is in there? And she's like, wolf. In fact, it's Fey wolf. It's
yeah.
wolf. I don't know.
Plus, also we were talking like in that first episode, about like maybe the dad can see that it's that. So what if she had brought the meat back and she was like, "We have to eat this," and he's like, "That's a human, or that's a fae. This is
Well,
this is two people." Like,
now think about it. If he can see it, then he
no,
saw
that was what our
he
initial
saw,
discussion was
he saw
about. Was him seeing
skin.
human skin, not human skin, human like skin.
Yeah, yeah. High face skin.
Yeah, yeah, that was our initial joke. But I'm
Well,
like,
and
what if
that
she was like, "Now you got to eat this. We're starving."
right. Chow dow daddy, it's great. Yeah, well, and then that makes the difference because he's like, where did you get that? She's like, what are
Yes.
you
No.
talking
Yeah.
about?
Okay. So that's chapter 11. Next week, dive into chapter 12.
I haven't even looked at chapter 12 yet, so I can't even give a glimpse as to what is here.
There's some
Um,
stuff happening. I actually haven't either, but I'm sure
we
I'll
have
have lots of little notes.
yeah, we have lots of bog conversation, it looks like, and this is some Tamlin Feyre fucking around stuff. It's chapter 12. That's all we got. Tamlin and Feyre fucking around.
Yeah. Oh, in the Heart of Stone. Oh, and then she's learning to read. This is when my notes start to pick up.
Yeah. Okay, so chapter 12 is when he figures out that she can't write and does nothing about it. But he gives her a library at some point, which I guess is nice. Anyhow, so chapter 11 was fun. I love our little sneak of Reese Poo. And chapter
Yes.
12 will be next week.
Good. Okay. See you then.
See you then.